because we were originally going to shoot a different scene at that point, but then the weather turned and it wouldn't match with the other part of that scene that we'd shot earlier. So as we wait for the coverage, for the clouds to pass, we shot that scene in the park. That's one of those bits. Sorry, that bit just now with April walking out of the house is one of those things that was trimmed from YouTube, by the way. I guess not really pointing this out anymore. Okay, this is a good example of another way to easily shoot a no-budget film. You have to move very, very quickly. And the shot of April was done in one take, literally. I basically just fired up the camera. I was walking along with her, and these photos are actually behind the scenes stills. We didn't really have time to do anything else, and those were shot separately. We're looking at Ryan Campbell filling in I don't know, sort of the love interest for Ashley. A lot of this bird stuff is done in a completely different park. A couple of people who live in this area, live in the area that we shot this in, and of course have seen the movie, already noticed that. I guess our first CGI shot, and that wide shot that you just saw, needed to be altered quite a bit. I mean, there were trees that were duplicated, some wires were removed. And the reason why that photo was there rather suddenly is because I actually didn't pay attention to the continuity between between the two shot that we just saw and the first shot from the opposite angle of Ashley and Dan. So if I had cut that normally, there would have been this huge jump in their locations.
Yeah, but at least you know that you're doing what you want with your life.
And that pretty much sums up why I wanted to make this movie. I mean, it probably comes off as this amateur soap opera, and I certainly deserve a lot of heat for that. Oh, that's Colin Baxter's cameo, by the way. Anyway,
What are you doing?
I just figured that if I was going to make a serious attempt at making a movie for what turned out to be $1,000, the logical place to start would have been some kind of a coming-of-age story, and particularly dealing with stories that are very dramatic, but at the same time stories that pretty much any teenager in the Western world can relate to. And as you can probably tell by now, yes, that is my voice. Which again, I trimmed a little bit for the online versions. This movie originally ran something like 53 minutes, and it dragged in a lot of places. There were a lot of things wrong with it, even worse than what's in this version. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. This is actually a fairly presentable take on the movie. As I'd alluded to earlier, we lost the guy who was originally supposed to play Craig's father, and we couldn't find anyone else to do it. So, just for lack of any other option, we decided to think of other visuals that we could cut to, and this had the father as present as only a voice or like the occasional hand shot or something. For some bizarre reason, I thought that would actually be good at portraying a drunken, possibly psychotic 35-year-old, but looking back on, I really wish we'd found somebody else. Especially since I didn't really know how to do pitch change back then.
Well, you can't trust your family, and you can't trust your friends. Who's that?
And this is the thing that I was talking about earlier that we need to stop shooting. The unfortunate thing with a lot of these dialogue scenes, especially in ensemble drama, is that we very rarely had any two characters very rarely actually spoke to each other. I mean, Nathan and Andrew Carter, who you just saw there, even though they knew each other, they didn't actually interact during filming. They were nowhere near each other. April Barlow and Kate Ryan had never met at all. And you probably get the idea from there. Excuse me. And the main reason for that was just that nobody's schedules were really compatible. Again, with no budgeted film, you have to pretty much work with whatever life gives you. We can't afford to pay anyone, so we were pretty much at the mercy of their real life, their predetermined work schedule. And just gotta make do with what you've got and cheat wherever you can. I mean, obviously we need to plan those dialogue scenes very carefully. So those who are paying attention probably notice that more than anybody else in the movie, Eric and Beth are shot much more. Are shot in much wider shots. I sound like an idiot right now. I guess that's because at this point it was much later in the production, and I was really getting annoyed with having to fake all these conversation scenes. I thought, oh yes, I can actually prove that we have people working together during this movie. We never actually did have a kind of a nickname for any of these sequences, but this would definitely be a Widowmaker. Don't ask me what possessed me to do this, but I put one of the hardest scenes in the movie within the first 20 minutes of the film. And Tristan certainly got the blunt of it. Because again, he had no preparation at all. I mean, Kate at least had seen a piece of the script at this point. Tristan was almost winging it. He wasn't ad-libbing any of the lines or anything, but he did have to sort of muddle through this.
Before whipping your fucking dick out. We thought we were going to be okay. She thought she was going to be fine too. You weren't even there.
Yeah, looking back on it, if I were to do the same sort of scene today, certainly with people, you know, in my age group, like early mid-20s, I should say, I wouldn't be anywhere near this harsh. But that being said, I do try to present both sides of the story as much as I can. I mean, yes, it's kind of dumb that they got into this kind of a reckless situation in the first place, but now that it's there, what do they do about it? Another thing that I would do differently if I were doing this today is that I wouldn't be holding on to this shot for as long as I did, because Kate and Tristan need to do this one shot, I don't know, something like 6 or 7 times, I think, before they could actually get anywhere with it. They just kept on forgetting their lines, or stumbling over the performance or something. It was just always something that wasn't working. And I don't know, that's a situation that I really should have been more frugal about. I mean, just work with them as far as I could, take a scene and then change the camera angle and keep on going somewhere. But for some reason, I was really adamant about holding on to this shot. I really don't remember why.
Well, people do it and they manage. All we have to do is work at it.
A little bit naive, but
Kissed college goodbye, that's for sure.
I guess that was a conceit that I tried to have. If you're in this situation, try to be constructive. That's what I was trying to do with Beth at this point, especially considering that she had the foreknowledge.
That was a huge mistake.
In more ways than one.
Fuck you too.
You already did, and look what happened. Thanks a lot.
I don't pretend to write particularly good dialogue or even particularly funny dialogue, but I'm always glad that joke works.
Good idea.
We never really got the chance to develop it properly, but there's a sort of a recurring theme, or somewhat recurring theme, of Beth always feeling alone. And it's because, if you notice, her parents are never around in any of this movie. We should be able to develop that more.
Alright, so then, this seagull gets right in my shot. Over my head.
Okay, so right about now we're in the middle of episode 3. I have no idea why, but for some reason this is the most popular one on YouTube. Like, this one has had over 10,000 hits by the time